The meeting will please come to order. The January 17th meeting of the Board of Adjustment will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been that on January 17th, 2023, a copy of the notice specifying the date, time, and location was posted on a bulletin board outside of Borough Hall, given to the clerk administrator, mailed, faxed, or emailed to the Courier News and/or the North Star Ledger, and placed on the borough website. If any member believes that this meeting is being held in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, please state your views at this time. These proceedings are of a judicial nature. Only those items on the agenda will be addressed. Adequate judicial decorum must and will be maintained. Next item, swearing in of Eric Alvarez and Art Adair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Swearing in Eric
Oh, all right.
and Art.
All right, we have two officials to swear in. Actually, first and foremost, we have our distinguished chairman, who I will be happy to, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me, sir. I, Arthur Adair,
I, Arthur Adair,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the
and the
United States
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Zoning Board of Adjustment Chairman.
perform all the duties
Zoning Board of
of the
Adjustment.
Zoning Board of Adjustment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Art.
Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez. Thank you very much. If you would repeat after me, I, Eric Alvarez, do solemnly swear
I, Eric Alvarez, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Zoning Board of Adjustment member.
perform all the duties of Zoning Board of Adjustment member.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Actually, according to the best of your ability, so help you God, there's the form is a little bit. All right, very good. Congratulations.
All right, Eric.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair,
Here.
Mr. Allett,
Here.
Ms. Carpenets,
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Here.
Mr. O'Neill,
Here.
Mr. Vidimski,
Here.
Mr. Flores,
Here.
Mr. Alvarez,
Here.
Mr. Daniels.
Here.
We have a quorum. Next item, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next item, election of officers. We have nominations for board chairman.
Second.
Moved and second. Are there any other nominations? Someone would like to move that the nominations be closed?
Second.
It's been moved that Arthur Adair be elected chairman. Would roll call, please?
Chairman Adair,
Abstain. No, yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski,
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next item, election of a vice chair.
I'll nominate Ed Lett as long as he doesn't abstain.
Second.
moved for Ed. Any other nominations? Someone move that the nominations be closed?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call for Ed?
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes, Rich.
Ms. Carpenets,
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Vidomski,
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Okay, nomination for appointment of a board secretary, administrator.
I'll nominate Janet LaRusso.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other nominations? Okay. Someone move that the nomination be closed?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Vidomski,
Yes.
Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Okay, let's choose a planner slash engineer. Council, okay, we'll do Cliff.
Art, I'd like to interject right now.
Okay,
Not sure exactly how to word this, however, we received requests for,
we were gonna take care of that.
yeah, but I want to do that now.
Okay, this is what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, we talked about this. We had requests for qualifications. I don't know how we got them, but they came to us late in the game, but they came to us. And I'm very uncomfortable not addressing that. I'm not saying you have to hire or fire anybody, but I'm just uncomfortable voting for something that we haven't talked about. You know, we had the requests, and I don't know any of the people other than, I guess, who's sitting here. And I'm not advocating for anybody or anything, but for us as a body to just not discuss it
Oh,
and not talk about it before we vote, I think is inappropriate. And I don't know, I don't think it's illegal, I'm not sure, but to me, it's not ethical, and I've got a problem with it.
Okay. We all received those names. It was not on the planning board reorganization, agenda. As I told you, I wanted to talk with, Brian and Bernie to see what's up, and that I would move that we table, those, applications until October, when we do get our RFQs from our professionals. And we can take a look at them also, if those people are still interested.
Do you think that they would be somewhat disappointed about not hearing that we, as a board, discussed their RFP? Because obviously something happened where these went out, so they're fully expecting to get vetted, I would imagine. I think it would be a disservice, and we also may preclude them from preparing a new proposal in October. Because if they aren't gonna be heard now, why would they wanna do a new proposal for
Like
the
I
end of
said,
the year?
we received it, so did the planning board and the borough council, and nobody has acted on it yet.
That's the problem. Nobody's acting. As soon as I got it, I sent an email out to everybody on this board and to others,
Yep.
saying that we should at least discuss this. Never got a word back until you called me today, which I appreciated, but it's been silence. And this error of transparency, I don't think we're being transparent.
Well, we don't know where it came from.
I got it.
We had the meeting a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago, the planning board, and had come up that the DSA would like to have their choice of planners, one from column A, one from column B, a planner for right-handed hitters, a planner for left-handed hitters, a closer, what we got, we're blessed. But yes, we should take a look at it. And I think that, the three boards should get together, we should get the input and see where we're at and what precipitated this.
What three boards?
Council, planning board, and us.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, we should talk about it.
Mhm.
I think that's my point, we should talk about it. And I'd even propose that we reappoint them for 90 days or something, so we have time to talk about this.
I would go longer than 90.
But I just think we're not doing the town a service by just ignoring what went on here. And again, everything is transparency today, and we're not being very transparent.
Well, that would include all three boards. Because nobody's moved on it yet.
Well, I used to take the nozzle out of fire, I was always ahead, and I don't mind doing it tonight. But I'm telling you, I'm just uncomfortable, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm uncomfortable ignoring it. It's just where I am.
Well, I was uncomfortable with the way it went when they started talking about having more than, giving the applicant the choice of the council or the planner that's gonna work for the borough that we're gonna pay for.
I agree with you,
That just stuck in my craw.
but we never discussed it, and I think therein lies the problem. I think we really have to discuss it, whether it's in an executive session or whether it's a public session, I don't really care, because I say what I say anyway. But I just think we ought to be talking about what we're doing. And I'm not for or against anybody, and I'm certainly not against the guys down the end of the table here. But I just don't like ignoring stuff that's come to us and just say, let's just go about our business, we don't care what anybody says. And I'm uncomfortable with it, it's
Okay.
plain and simple.
Point noted.
And I was a fire chief, I was the boss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just doesn't sit right with me.
I can understand it. I appreciate your comments. There's a motion on the floor for Clifford Gibbons.
I'll move it.
Move. Someone
Second.
wanna- Second. Any discussion? Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenet?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. O'Neill?
No,
Mr. Vinemski?
Yes.
And Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Carried. Would someone make a motion for our planner slash engineer?
I'll move it.
Second.
Move. Second, any discussion? Any further discussion?
Can we, yes, I would like, can we postpone that, and as Rich had mentioned, maybe 90 days or 120 days? I'll tell you the other reason why. In full transparency, I believe that everybody on our board has received various letters over the last 90 days. We have not discussed any of those letters at all. You just mentioned the one about the DSA, but there's a couple of others that are out there. And I think that we should discuss it in executive session and to go over it. And again, so everybody on our board is aware of, and maybe you haven't received letters, but if you have, I think we should discuss them.
Okay. We'll set it up for executive session.
And again, as Rich said, Mike, nothing against you, but I think that we need to discuss it. I think that as a board, we need to vet it.
I don't think that should be executive session,
I
it should be
understand.
public.
Well, and council, it's up, what do you recommend? Does it go public or does it go executive?
Well, I mean, you can certainly, you know, the letter itself, as a number of us commented on, has some, you know, you know, I guess that was the DSA letter, was controversial. I mean, it could have been taken up by the board in the normal course of its affairs. I don't think it needed to be dealt with in executive session. And you would only want to do executive session if you were discussing,
Personnel.
for example, the terms and conditions of a contract with your professional, or if your professional had, you know, undertaken something that led you to want to fire him or her, or, you know, something along those lines. You know, a letter such as the one you're referring to, and I know there have been others, though I have not seen them, you know, that should be taken up by the board in the normal course of a public session. The board received the letter publicly, so it should be dealt with as such.
And I know that was brought up at the planning board meeting. Larry Cleveland was very vocal about it, and Bernie wanted to handle it in executive session. But if the board wants to do it in executive session, I mean, in public, we can do that. But let's schedule it for the next meeting.
And I think we're talking about not just one letter, we're talking
Yeah.
about a number of letters
Yeah.
that affects our board and I think the planning board at the same time.
Well, you know, last year we had a couple of applications that members of other boards saw fit to get into our business. And I kind of resented it, and I talked with the then mayor about it. We know what we're doing. We're a damn good board. We as good as any board in this state. But there were rumors, there was interference, which really ticked a lot of people on this board off, to the point where, they talked about doing, sending, or filing a complaint with the Ethics Committee on some of the things that we were interfered with. We know our jobs. Just like some of the other things, certain things were supposed to come before us and was diverted to other boards, and decisions were made. And, that also affected the planning board, where they were bypassed on a few things.
Well, that's what we gotta discuss then.
Yeah, and like you
We're not
and I
even
said,
aware that that happened.
we had a joint meeting with the planning board several years ago to discuss the POR zone. I think what we really need to do is have a joint meeting with the planning board and the mayor and council about which direction we're going in this town.
Well, the mayor's sitting right there.
I know. He's taking, he and I have talked, and he laid some groundwork out on January 1st, which he wants to talk about today, and give us our marching orders.
Okay.
But we do have a nomination on the floor from Michael Cole and Associates for planner/engineer. It's been moved to second. And we've got any more discussion?
Was it modified or was it not modified, as Morgan said?
Yeah, can we modify that so that let's do it for 90 days, and certainly within the near future, that we have our meeting?
And then what do we want to do? Vet the other, applicants?
I think we should maybe have a meeting to talk about what we're gonna do, or do it tonight.
I have
We
a-
gotta get the hearings done now.
Since that was my motion, then my question is, if we put a timeline, 90 days, what, if any, implications does that have for anyone who is presenting plans to the zoning board or has an application before the zoning board? And now we're telling them, well, it's possible that one planner will begin the process, but 90 days from now, we don't know. So
Well, that has happened before.
yeah, but I don't recall, from me being here, I don't recall that,
The
so.
planner that initiated it stayed with it to the end.
But if if we're putting a 90-day period on it and it goes beyond 90 days,
They continue, if they choose, if they wanna stay with it, they finish the job.
It's very difficult to hear everything.
oh,
Talking to the mic.
I'm
Not
sorry.
complaining, I'm just,
No, that's okay. My question was, if we put a timeline, on Mike's if we say we'll review this in 90 days, what, if any, impact does that have on any applications that are received now and are in process and may go beyond the 90 days?
well, from a legal standpoint, thank you. From a legal standpoint, if there was a substitution, that would, stretching this out to its, possible implications. If Mr. Cole, for example, were here for 90 days and his contract was changed, or the board went in a different direction, the new planner or engineer would pick up, would essentially pick up in midstream. That is a mixed blessing at best. And to be honest with you, it does visit some potential difficulties upon the applicant, because it means the charges can be duplicative against escrows. So it's not an easy situation, and, I know the board is sensitive to costs and things like this. That would essentially, potentially greatly increase the cost for an applicant, because you're essentially paying for two professionals to do the same job.
Well, if we go with that, Cliff, then we're talking about never changing the planner ever again, even January 1st. I mean, somebody's gotta live 100 years. I mean, that's not realistic. I mean,
No, I
things change.
understand, but ordinarily you do it from year to year.
That's ordinarily, but what is the difference? I'm not following the difference. Planners change, members change, lawyers change, and the world goes on, somehow or other, it continues to spin. And, that's just life. I don't think we can freeze everything to be this way forever because we're afraid of change.
I don't know, Mr. O'Neill, I'm not claiming you should do that, I'm just explaining what would happen.
I get that.
You can do it.
And I'm explaining the other side of it.
Yeah, I
No,
think,
I understand.
Cliff, I think the workaround could be is that, and let's say that it was, Mike, certainly we would want him to stay on to hear that full application. Sure.
That's another way to handle it, yes.
Right, and yeah, it's not a drop dead. We don't wanna hurt any applicant, any resident that's coming before us,
Nor the town.
or the town.
Or the professional for that matter.
You're the professional.
Right.
My other question would be, I think with regard to the governing body, sometimes you can just carry someone over until a decision is made. Can we do that? Here's the thing. You give somebody a job for 90 days. At the end of 90 days, you could put that person in an embarrassing professional situation, and that's not right to do that. Can we just carry over until we have a decision? If we're going to discuss this next month, make a decision then and be done with it?
You can carry over. I think the other thing is that, you know, there have been boards that have done it month to month, which is not necessarily recommended either. I mean, it would probably be that you would want to select a date certain. Okay, this is January, you know, you want to talk about 90 days, it would be to, I don't know, March 31st or whatever whatever the end of that period would be, April 1st, or, you know, if you want to do it for, you can also do it for, because under the law, it's January 1 to December 31st. You know, any appointment is generally that way. I mean, certainly the board has and the governing body also, in those situations, has the authority to, you know, do what it has to do to operate. So, yes, it can be done. All I'm saying is that it you know, obviously has some implications, and you have to be considerate of those as well. I'm not saying in any way that any of these things, any of us who are in this profession understand that none of these appointments are lifetime. I don't think anybody ever considers that at all. But it's also, I know when I've been special litigation counsel or special counsel, which I've been to many municipalities, you know, there can be depending on the circumstance, there can be a time limit set, or it can be set, you know, to the end of the year or something like this. So the bottom line is you can do it, but you need to know all the implications of what you're doing. That's all.
But I think we also have to know the implications of not discussing this stuff. And I think therein lies the issue. And I'm only asking for discussion. I'm not making a decision, but
No, we didn't request them.
this word of transparency.
We requested RFQs.
I don't know. I didn't do it.
We didn't request them.
We got them.
I know we got them, but we didn't request them.
I didn't get anything. I got one letter from you. And I think I got one from Jenna, so I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
The one from Jenna, as I recall, listed a bunch of applicants
Right,
for the various
but it was
positions.
one letter, but Morgan said he received multiple letters. I didn't get multiple letters, so, I mean, really, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Right.
I mean, I kinda do, but I don't have anything official except an email from Jenna.
That's what I got, and that's what I'm concerned about.
So-
If we had people, somehow people applied or presented themselves, and quite frankly, we're ignoring them, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Kevin, did we put out for RFQs?
The borough put out RFQs, they were received back early in November. We've done it every year. It's a transparency process that we've had. We shared those with I shared them with Jenna shared them with the boards. It's a process we pretty much do every year for just about every position.
So this is the first time, Kevin, that I've ever seen this in my 12 years.
I will tell you, Mr. McLaughlin, there's usually not a lot of responses to the RFQs. This year there were.
Okay.
So, now we know where it came from.
Okay?
Because I know we get the RFQs from Cliff and Mike. every year for this and the planning board and Kara. And this year we've got some other people who might be interested.
And there we get back to that transparency issue. We got it. Now what do we do with it? It's like catching a hot piece of coal. What do you do with it? I mean, I think we have an obligation to deal with it.
So, just so I'm clear, so, Rich, because now I'm just getting confused. So what you would like to do is review the people who responded to the RFQs as if we have a job opening and you want to review the resumes? Which sounds different from these other letters that Morgan is referring to. So what are we, so
I'm talking
you
about
want to
when you-
interview people?
Well, maybe not me personally, but I think we ought to know who they are and what they can do, and I just don't think we can ignore them. I mean, how do you ignore somebody who just, they were asked to present the information, they presented it, and we blow it off? I just don't think that's a good idea. I have trouble with it. And I'm not in favor of anybody, I don't have any.
I'm just trying to, because now I see there are two different issues
Two
here.
different
Am I
issues.
right? There are two different issues here.
Totally. What Morgan's talking about is totally different. I'm just talking about the request for qualifications that the borough received, we then received, and we just said, okay, let's forget about it. I just don't think, I got a problem with that. I mean, I just do. I mean, I'm in business. If I send something out to somebody, you know, at least tell me no.
So what would your solution be for someone, I'm just trying to, like, narrow this
Yeah,
down, I'm not trying to.
That's a good idea.
So, would your solution be for someone on this zoning board to review the applicants and then have letters sent to them that say, we either want to interview you or thank you, but no thank you?
Well, since we've got our administrator sitting here, what does the borough do when they get something like that? We've never done this before, but what
I mean, I
happens?
get resumes sent to me at my job all the time,
Yeah.
and I'll just say, thank you very much, I'm not looking for someone right now.
I do the same thing, but I think we have an obligation to the citizens of this town,
Okay.
who we represent, to look at things, to be fair, and that the town must have a procedure. I mean, I don't know, I've never hired.
I don't know what
Yeah.
the borough's procedure is. So now Kevin's in the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, the Borough Council reviewed, I mean, they were offered to review the RFQs that came in for other positions. I mean, not land use positions, but other positions that are open. They did make some decisions on prior to that, and advised me on prior to January 1st, and they made those appointments. The ones they didn't make decisions on, they're reviewing them still, and they're gonna make decisions on. Those will be done probably, within the next 30 days.
Well, then we
They have
fall-
meetings scheduled for,
We fall into that same bucket, yet we haven't reviewed them. And now we don't have to do the attorney because that's done, but we still have an open position that's not done. And I just don't think we can, just don't wanna ignore people. Just don't wanna do
Well,
that.
how many applications are we talking? How many? Four.
Does this concern the planner, or does this concern all of us?
It's the planner.
Yeah, you've been voted on already.
No, I understand, I just, it would seem to me, I mean, now speaking as the board's lawyer and with some knowledge of the, local public contracts law and the bidding regulations, if your planner, whatever planner it was, if bid specifications were sent out by the administrator as they were, I know because I answered them, and they were answered in a timely fashion, then at that point, that's the group from which, or the individual from which the board has to decide. I mean, unless it would reject all the bids, which is, highly unusual. Usually that's only done if there's some sign of real, violation or fraud. Ordinarily, the board would make a decision from the bids and the responses which it received in a timely fashion. again, I can't speak to anyone but myself. I know that I went to a great deal of trouble to make sure that it was, mine was received on time. I always have them delivered by, some kind of receipt situation, but if, for example, and this doesn't just apply to Mr. Cole, this applies to anybody who works for the board, it applies to our reporter or anybody else. If you put out specifications and you give a deadline, which is what I understand was done, then I think the board binds itself to that process and honors the appropriate response, and honors the responses. They consider them and then they make a decision on it. I don't think you redo the whole process. I think it would be, very unusual and it would be hard to support.
So Cliff, your advice is that we review the proposals and then make a decision once we have reviewed them?
Well, it seems to me that you've already received the proposals. I mean, I guess were they not reviewed at all?
Not
I
as a
didn't
board.
review them,
Not as a board.
not by the, yeah.
I never saw a proposal, I just saw names.
Quite candidly, I don't know what to say in that situation. It's very unusual. I mean, I know our administrator is very effective and, he gets things done. I work with him all the time. So I don't know what happened to those things. I know that we were all very respectful of those time limitations and the bidding requirements, and everybody got them in on time. It seems kind of unusual not to at least, frankly, honor those who acted honorably.
That's my point. It's exactly what I'm saying, transparency and awareness, and that, we haven't done.
Want to take this into executive?
It may be in this situation, Mr. Chairman, that you should, yes.
Okay. Someone like to move that we go into executive session? We can go in the back room.
I'll move.
Move?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Go in the back room.
Record, the stream will continue, so when you come back out, you'll be live. But I just want you to know that I can't cut that off and restart it.
True.
Okay?
That's fine.
That's what,
We'll shut off the camera, though.
Jenna?
thank you.
I hope I get a chance to serve on you some water.
Yeah, I think there's one.
Kitchen and everything.
There's even a couple.
I know, right?
By the way, everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Cliff.
Oh. You're not gonna do it like you did last night, are you?
What?
You're not gonna do like you did last night?
No, I didn't do that last night. Everybody else did it.
I think last night they just weren't talking.
A little bit of, no, they had a problem with the mics. Except for Brian's and that one over there. Gallagher doesn't need a mic anyway.
Okay. Thank you. We're good on that. And then,
Okay, would someone move that we go, come out of, executive session?
Make a motion, come out of executive.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We go back to the regular meeting. Now, where were we? Oh,
I think we have a motion and I think we had a second,
And a second, the motion to discussion.
right. And that's what led to all of it.
okay.
We're still missing Jenna.
Jenna?
Jenna?
Cliff, okay.
The stream's on a delay, so I actually don't know if you're sitting down yet. So if you just give me a minute, I can let you know if you're being recorded on the stream.
Okay.
I think they're frozen.
Hmm?
I think the stream froze.
What was that? Okay, ready? Okay, we have a motion. Hmm?
Cliff is not here.
He's in the restroom.
Okay. Okay, we're out of executive session. We have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call, please. This is for the appointment of Michael Cole and Associates.
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets,
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski,
Yes.
and Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes of the December 6th meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Moved second. Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair,
Abstain.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets,
Abstain.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski,
Yes.
and Mr. Flores.
Abstain.
We have some resolutions. I'm gonna get to you, Brian. Okay, someone wanna, move the, resolution 46 West Main Street?
I'll move that.
Moved? Second on the resolution?
Second.
Moved and second. Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets,
Abstain.
Going to be resolutions, 46.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski,
Yeah.
Mr. Flores,
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Daniels.
Carried. Next, next resolution is Fifth Street.
These were all sent out ahead, and I have not, I did not, Mr. Cole had a couple of minor comments, but, you know, they were non-material, so everything is, as it stands. I certainly commend to the board to adopt these resolutions as presented.
So, move and second it?
I'll move it.
Move. Get a second?
Second?
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Daniels.
And a resolution for West End Avenue.
I'll move it.
Moved.
Second?
Moved second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chairman Adair,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets,
Abstain.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Okay, we have all the other stuff taken care of. Mr. Gallagher?
Thank you. Good evening, Board. All are well and Happy New Year. First, a big thank you for volunteering for what you do. Art, how many years is this now?
On this board, 42. 49 total of other boards.
You could have memorized the swearing and said.
I did. It pales in comparison to Rich and his 112 years on the fire department.
I saw him in that photo that's floating around on the internet.
Here with Tom and Jerry.
West End knows it. Just kind of a brief intro to what we can expect over the course of the next 4 years. I outlined a whole lot on New Year's Day as to where we as a council are going to try to begin to direct the borough. And a lot of it's centered on, and I'll back up, so 20 years ago when we began this process of kind of revitalizing and reinvigorating Somerville and creating it into what it is today, we took a very hard look at a lot of our plans. Our master plan, we created a whole bunch of redevelopment plans. We looked and reviewed our zoning ordinances. And 20 years ago, we had a great ability for the three boards, somebody was talking about the three boards before, working together in unison to try to affect that. That's what we can expect over the next 4 years. There's going to be a lot of movement. We can't look, so 20 years ago, we created all these wonderful visions, and they're all coming to fruition. But it's the same playbook. And that's the problem we have now, is that it's the same playbook. We keep going back to the same playbook. The borough's changed. It's grown. It's really expanded in terms of commercial businesses, residences, both individual homes and multifamily dwellings. So we need to look at it through that new lens of today and begin to address all of those. Zoning is going to be a big part of that. You're the front lines of zoning, and that clash, and we're beginning to see some of that clash of those fringe areas that abut residential areas, and making sure that all of the allowable and acceptable uses are good. And I think vetting by this body, by the planning board, and by the borough council are extremely important. One of the things I want to do is I'd like to try to decentralize things. We have, Art said it before, one of the best zoning boards in the state. We also have one of the best planning
Planning boards.
My goal is to turn a lot of that back to you, to allow the planning board to begin to do what they do best. And instead of just nuts and bolts, yes and no, and process, it's do what you do. Do what you were appointed to do, which is plan for the next 20, 40, 50 years for this borough. And in 20 years, somebody else can come up and begin that new reinvention process. But 20 years is a long time. You know, I have dark hair and therefore head hair. It's not so much. But I know enough to step back and say, the borough has changed, so we need to begin to change how we view what we do. That's going to bring a little bit of angst to some, but I think to others it's going to bring a lot of opportunity. And that's a part of that growth. All of you, many of you have been here a long time. You have that institutional knowledge. That is so valuable to what we do. It helps the borough guide because you understand what's been tried in the past, what has worked, what hasn't. You know, something is simple. I've started to read up a little bit as I get my gears under me again. But, you know, it's a very different approach. You know, it's technology. There was a planner in the Midwest who they were going through the iterations of a drive-through. So this major company, food company, wanted to put a drive-through in their store, in their restaurant. And this young team of people said, well, why don't we do something different? And I'm not suggesting this, I'm just using this as an example. And so, you know, the board said, well, what do you think? They go, well, why don't we actually eliminate the drive-through and just allow technology to take over and don't allow a drive-through? So you go on your app and you order your food, you pull up, they run your food out to you, and now you don't have the neighborhood impact. You don't have the noise, you don't have the light spill, you don't. So this is the type of thinking that I think we need to begin to look at, that understands what's happening in the world today, rather than going to the same well of what we know. And that's really where I want to try to take this. We have to take it from what we always know, what we've always done, and look at technology, look at that new way of thinking, that new model of thinking. It may apply, it may not apply, but we have to have that conversation. Rich, you talked about having that conversation before. Those are the conversations we need to have. And that's when a board functions best. That's, I firmly believe that. It's when they can have that dialogue, that open dialogue, and you can disagree as ladies and gentlemen, but come to a great solution for the borough. Not everybody gets what they want all the time, but that's really where the borough needs to go. I talk a lot about a lot of different things, but from this board's perspective, I think the board or representatives of the board need to be integrally involved in that as the planning board begins to take up the zoning ordinances. Because ultimately, they get your take. They hit you. And you have to have that knowledge. Instead of just being handed a new playbook that says, all right, now we got to apply this law, and it doesn't fit. Being at the table and understanding the thinking behind why we enacted these zoning ordinances in these areas gives you a better understanding of where your position should be, should an applicant come. It's gonna take time, not everything's gonna happen in year one, I can tell you that right now. It's gonna take a lot of time for us to get through all of these, but it's something that has to be done. And last time it took probably 3 or 4 years for us to get through all of it, but the results are what we see right now. And, you know, it's not instant. It's not instant. It doesn't happen overnight, but with good planning, good policy, good decisions, good discussion, that's what makes a decision like that. So I wanted to thank you, again, for what you all do. There's some new faces on the board that I haven't seen, and I welcome you all. Once we begin that process at the planning board and at the council, I will welcome any and all comers to be a part of that process. I think it's very, very important. So, you know, as you go about your business, just start thinking about who might be most appropriate to become a part of that process. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Going to have a busy year. It's going to be good. As we did several years ago when we saw a problem, not a problem, but a lot of activity in the POR zone, and we set up the joint meeting with the planning board and got those changes initiated. I think that's what we'll be doing a lot more of. Looking forward to it. Okay. Congratulations, Cliff, Jenna, Mike.
Just want to mention, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Alvarez, I'm going to ask you to sign your oaths of office, which I will notarize. I can pass these down now, or when the meeting is
We
over, I
can do it
can
after
stop
the
by.
meeting. We can do it after the meeting.
Very good.
Okay. Okay. Land use applications. We have one, we refer to as the Granite's Building. They will not be heard tonight. So if anybody is here for that application, they won't be heard. They've asked to be, come on, I guess it's gonna be April, Jenna? The, Charis?
Yeah,
Your grant is
April,
building,
I
yes.
believe it's the 17th.
That's just the meeting.
So if anybody's here on that application,
17th, yeah.
it won't be heard tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, the next application, the Bank of America.
We need to, I was going to say, I think we're gonna need to make sure that's considered and approved by the board. And one more.
Oh, what's that, Michael?
To give out the
public notice.
Meeting schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry, the meeting schedule,
Be provided.
yes, I'm sorry.
And the newspaper as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Need a resolution or a motion to approve the meeting dates for next year and, for this year and January 1st of next year, that they be advertised in the Courier News and the Newark Star Ledger if necessary. Put on the bulletin board outside of Borough Hall and placed on the website.
Second.
Moved, second, roll call, please.
Chairman Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Elick?
Yes.
Ms. Karpinetz?
Yes,
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Badimski? Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for their patience while we were in executive session. It was very productive, beneficial for the town. Okay, what do we have?
Good evening. Tom, my name is Tom Letizia. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Troutman, Pepper, Hamilton, Sanders in Princeton. And I'm here representing Bank of America National Association, which is the applicant in this matter and is also the owner of the subject site. A notice of this hearing was provided in accordance with law, including publishing notice in the official newspaper, which is the Courier News, and mailing notices to owners within 200 feet by certified mail. The required affidavits were filed with Ms. LaRusso. So I believe this board does have jurisdiction to hear this matter, and I ask for confirmation from your counsel, Mr. Gibbons.
Yes, sir, Mr. Letizia. I concur with you. The board has jurisdiction to consider this application and vote upon same.
Thank you. The subject Bank of America branch building is located on property identified as Block 112, Lot 9.01, on the borough tax map. And it has an address of 10 West High Street. The property is located in the borough's PO-R zone, which is professional office residential. The bank use is a pre-existing non-conforming use in the zone, and it has been determined that the changes we will be discussing this evening by the bank, which involve updating the HVAC equipment and new signage, that these improvements constitute an expansion of an existing non-conforming use, which under the municipal land use laws is considered a D2 variance. And, yes,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but could you just give me again the block and watch for your?
sure. The block is 112,
Right,
and the lot is 9.01.
very well. I just wanted to make sure, 'cause
Sure.
thank you very much. Go ahead, proceed.
Okay. So as you know, given that there is a D variance involved, this board has jurisdiction over the matter.
Yes, sir.
So we are here tonight to present plans for certain updates at the branch site. These include installation of updated business signs consistent with the bank's current national branding. The bank is updating signage at all its branches throughout the country. The proposed signage consists of one Bank of America sign on each face of the building and one new freestanding Bank of America sign at the corner. This is the same amount of signage that currently exists at the branch. In addition, there are new directional and clearance signs proposed to be updated, also consistent with the new branding for the bank. The second category of improvements is, as I mentioned, new HVAC equipment. The existing equipment at the branch is obsolete. It dates back to the 1970s, and it requires a constant repair. And however, due to the system's age, the bank is unable to obtain parts. So replacing the equipment is critical in order for the bank to function properly, which currently has little to no air conditioning. The proposed new system will be more modern and efficient, and the current condenser unit is located on the roof of the building, but the new modern unit has more internal components, which makes it larger and heavier, and the bank building roof cannot accommodate the heavier unit. Therefore, in this application, we're proposing new units located on the ground. Other site improvements include regrading of the ADA parking areas, some pavement maintenance, and some landscape maintenance, and that's the extent of the proposed improvements. Now, there seems to be some confusion, perhaps because of how certain items were identified on the plans as to what are proposed new improvements versus existing improvements that are not being altered. And I just want to clarify that for the board. First, we are not proposing any changes to the existing lighting at the site. The lighting shown on the plans is what was previously approved, and it's already installed at the site. And again, we are not proposing any changes. So any lighting design waivers that may have been identified in Cole and Associates review letter are not applicable to this application. Second, the water line serving the bank is also existing and is not changing. Now, on to the variance relief. I mentioned the D2 variance, and there are some C or bulk variances being requested in connection with the application. I can say, and we'll provide more info on this, we are not, the extent of the C variances that were originally being requested have now been reduced. And we'll explain that in more detail. The variances relate to the signage. I want to point out that again, the proposed signage that currently exists is being replaced. So the same number of signs, but the signs are somewhat different in size because of the branding. And originally, we were proposing a freestanding sign that did not conform with the ordinance, and as we will explain tonight, the bank has decided to modify the design of the freestanding sign to be in compliance with your ordinance. I guess the final category of potential variance relief relates to the canopy signs that are directional in nature, that are on the drive-through at the bank. In our view, these are in-kind replacement signs. We're not changing the number of signs. Again, we're just changing the new look of the signs. Actually, the new signs, in terms of size, will actually be a little bit smaller than the existing signs. So, in my opinion, I do not think a variance is necessary, but if the board and its consultants feel it needs a new variance, we can address that. The last variance relates to improvement coverage. The existing improvement coverage on the site already exceeds the 50% maximum allowed by your ordinance. There is a slight increase in this proposal. However, based on a recommendation from your engineer that's set forth in his report about us to make some changes to the driveway at the site, we are going to be able to add more landscaping, which will offset the additional impervious coverage that we were being proposed, and therefore that variance is no longer needed for this application. And again, our engineer will go through the specifics regarding that. There are some other nonconformities that were identified by your your planner and engineer relating to front yard setback and parking location. Those conditions are not being changed at all under this application, and therefore, there's really no variances involved there. And then finally, design waivers. And these relate to shade trees, street trees, and stormwater grates. I can report to the board that we will agree to provide the additional trees that are requested or suggested by Mr. Cole, as well as we will agree to install bicycle safety grates, where he noted that we did not have those safety grates. So we're going to eliminate those waivers from this application. So I apologize for the long introduction, but I thought it was important to provide the context. And now I'll turn this over to Mr. Much, our civil engineer. So, Ms. Much, you need to be sworn.
Stand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Paul Much, M as in Mary, UTCH, from Stonefield Engineering.
Thank you very much. Mr. Letizia, your witness, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Mr. Much, let's begin by having you briefly tell the board your educational, professional background, please.
Certainly, I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I graduated from Rowan University with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. I've been practicing in the field for roughly 11 years with specific experience on applications similar to the one you're going to see this evening. And I've been accepted by more than 100 land use boards in the state of New Jersey as a professional, as an expert witness in professional civil engineering testimony.
Could you name 3 locals?
Somerset, I've been before the planning board in Somerville, and I've also been, I think of what else is local to here, basically everywhere.
Good, very good.
So, Mr. Chairman, I offer Mr. Much as
We accept
expert in
him.
civil engineering. Thank
We
you.
accept
Thank
Mr.
you.
Much.
I'll start by placing the exhibits on the screen here for the board's use. The initial exhibit that I'll be speaking to are the submitted site plans. I don't believe we need to mark these. These are the submitted site plan sheets prepared by our office and part of this application package. Briefly describe the site. I think everybody's probably familiar with the Bank of America site. It's been a subject over the years. Bank of America is making many investments in this site over the years. You've seen lighting plans, utility plans, and upgrades, as well as parking lot repaving projects and things of the like. And they're continuing that trend here and continuing those investments in this bank branch to continue to refine and improve the site overall. The current proposal kind of brings it full circle. We're doing the final, what we'll call site improvements that are associated with the bank and upgrading the branding and the signage to what is the new national brand, and that was put into place in 2018 with some different lettering and logo looks, but all sites across the United States are being upgraded to the current signage. There's a couple of nationwide programs that are involved here. You saw there was a lighting project that came back a few years ago that was part of a nationwide upgrade to energy efficient lights. This current project is part of a nationwide effort to enhance and maintain the existing sites. That's why you saw the parking lot program that came through and repaved the parking lot. And now we're making small site upgrades as well to ensure that the quality of the site is there. And then, of course, the upgrade in signage is part of the nationwide upgrade from the old branding to the new branding, and we'll get into that in more detail. The important note, and we've already put it on the record this evening, there are no changes proposed to the lighting plan that was approved and installed as part of this a few years ago. There's no change to the utilities as far as the water line that's included in the plan. There are no changes to the storm or changes to the site overall as far as the front yard setback variance that was identified. It's an existing condition as part of this, for this application. So we're not making any wholesale changes to this site other than what I'll get into now. You heard about the HVAC upgrades. This is to bring a modern and efficient HVA system to the bank. Currently, the bank is without air conditioning because that system is unable to be repaired. It goes back to the 1970s, as you've heard, and we are moving those units off the roof and onto the ground, and those will be screened with a 4-foot-high opaque fence to make sure that the look remains the same behind the bank.
identify where?
Yes, certainly. So on the rear of the bank, you'll see this small area, we'll call it the northwest corner. There are 3 condensing units that will be located within a 4-foot fence and screened from visibility. In addition, your engineer asked for some additional plantings on the northeast corner of the bank. There is going to be an upgraded condenser unit there as well. We'll install plants around that to ensure that it kind of blends into the background on that side of the bank. So the HVAC is a pretty simple piece of the application. It needs upgrading, and we're bringing a highly efficient and modern system to the site. To continue down the road of the site improvements that we are making to the site, general site maintenance is the focus overall, and then there's been pieces added to that over time as we've been to the site, we've worked with your professionals and the like. The general site maintenance includes curb, sidewalk, and trench drain repairs to existing facilities that are in disrepair. We are agreeable to the comments in your engineer's letter as far as upgrading any curbs that are in disrepair on the site, and we're happy to do a site walk and identify those areas as a condition of this approval, and if the board does look favorably on the application this evening. The trench drains are dilapidated and causing some issues on site, so those will be fully replaced as part of this application as well, looking to maintain safe and efficient operation on this site through those features. We're also upgrading the ADA parking on site. Part of the bank's initiative as they move into different construction challenges is to upgrade all of their ADA parking spaces to concrete to ensure that at installation, those slopes are compliant with the federal ADA code, but also over the long duration of that pavement, you don't have the undulations that come with asphalt. So all of the ADA parking spaces will be upgraded to concrete as part of this application. In addition, we're going to be making a small change to the ADA parking spaces located on next to the drive-through. We're going to swap the striping here to comply with your engineer's comment on those ADA parking spaces, so we will not need any sort of relief for that ADA parking space per a conversation we had with your board professional. I'll just show briefly the other location that does have concrete pavement for the ADA spaces closest to the bank entry and the main parking field associated with this bank. In addition to those small site improvements, we're also infilling, upgrading, and enhancing the landscaping on site. Most of the landscaping that you see on this plan, the various circles and other shrubs, are existing plantings. The darker shrubs are intended to replace shrubs that have died over the years. We're looking to infill and replace anywhere where there's landscaping missing from what was intended to be there in the past. We're adding those screening plantings for the condensing unit along the rear of the bank. And then you've also heard from our attorney this evening that we are happy to agree and bring the site into compliance with both street and shade tree requirements. There's 5 shade trees that are missing or would require relief from the site today that we intend to install, and there's 3 additional street trees that are required that we will install. Those will have to be located outside of the security lighting radius associated with the ATMs and entrances, but we believe that there is sufficient room on site to provide those trees. So we're not seeking any relief for landscaping this evening. Specifically, we're upgrading the trees to bring the site into compliance with the ordinance. One question and one significant change to the site that I think we had an opportunity to discuss with your engineer is that the existing driveway exiting onto West High Street is extremely wide today. And currently there is gore striping, and in the proposed condition in the plans that are in front of you, there is only gore striping that is restricting that area. What we've agreed to and we've discussed with Bank of America is we are going to be installing landscape islands and curb to reduce the width of that. It'll be somewhere in the 20 to 25 foot range wide as you egress. We'll also be directing cars to make the right turn out because obviously there's left turn issues that are being this close to the intersection. So we intend to work with your engineer to finalize that design, but that is part of the reason why we're not asking for an impervious coverage variance this evening. With those islands, you're going to get somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 square feet of additional landscaping area on the site, and it'll certainly offset the small concrete pads that are associated with the HVAC units behind the building. So that is something that basically where you see the gore striping today that channelizes that driveway, we're going to upgrade that with curb and landscaping, and that design will generally follow that striping with some adjustments to make sure that people understand which way you can turn and which way you're intended to turn out of that driveway and channelize those movements from the drive-through. So we think that's going to be a significant improvement to the site overall. There are no proposed improvements or changes, I'll say, to the existing stormwater management system, other than the fact that there are a few inlets that fall below current code. We are going to replace those inlet grates with the bicycle-safe grates as well as the eco-friendly grates to ensure that we meet the current code. So anywhere those are identified on site that are non-compliant, we'll upgrade those with new grates. I think what we'll do now is we'll move into what I'll consider the main event of the evening this evening, which is the signage package that we are proposing. Again, this is an upgrade to the Bank of America rebranding that occurred in 2018. And I've prepared an exhibit, and this one was not submitted, so I think we should mark it. If you'd like, I could mark it A1 or however you see fit.
Now, we'll mark that A1.
Let's identify this exhibit.
Yes.
Do you have a written or board copy of that, or that we can mark?
I do have a copy with me. If you'd like to mark it, I can mark it on here.
Yes,
Email it.
sir.
Yeah, you want me to get it now or should after the meeting? It's up to you.
I hate to interrupt your stream of thought. Would you provide it after the meeting, and we'll mark it A1?
Certainly, yes. I'll provide the hard
Please
copy.
do that.
I'll mark it in here as well on the PDF, so we're all.
Thank you.
So this exhibit that I'm going to refer to at this time is labeled a signage exhibit. It's prepared January 17th, 2024 by Stonefield Engineering. And this is a blow-up and just a more simplified version of the detailed signage information that was submitted as part of the package, just to try to show a side-by-side comparison to the board in a clear manner of what we are trying to accomplish as part of this application. So one significant improvement I think we've been able to make over the last few days on this application is previously we were requesting 2 variances associated with the new, what we'll call monument sign here. We were requesting both a height and area variance over the time, because that was the smallest sign that comes in the corporate package for Bank of America. Over the past few days, we've been working on a custom sign that reduces the sign to comply with both area and height. It will comply with the 42-inch regulation to the top of the sign, as well as the area. We are permitted 12 square feet. The sign comes to about 11.99 square feet, so as close as they could get. It'll essentially be an exact replacement of what's there today, except that it'll be the new branding and the new look. So there'll be a little bit more color and a little bit more modernness to the sign, but generally the same position. We are shifting it a bit to comply with the 2 10-foot setbacks from each property line, but it will comply in both height and area, which I think is a positive movement in this application. There is a variance associated with the positioning of the sign. There is a 50-foot sight triangle associated with the intersection that was identified in the review letter. This sign will be outside of any true sight triangles with either the intersection or our driveway, so we're not going to see an impediment of the traveling public, and it is essentially in the same exact position that this sign has existed historically. It'll be similarly illuminated. If you look at the sign that's out there today, you can tell that the paint's starting to wash off a little bit, so it's a little bit brighter. But the new signage, and this goes for both the monument sign as well as the wall signage, will be backlit in letters and logo only. The white faces that you see on any of the signs are not illuminated. They're simply an opaque white background that allows the new deeper and more rich reds and blues of the logo, as well as the lettering, to pop a little bit more and have that contrast so it looks sharper. It brings an aesthetic appeal. So only the letters and logo are internally illuminated, though all signs will be dimmable, so there won't be any concerns about installing a sign that is too bright. We can work on that in the field if anything were to come up, but I think really the intention is to have a low glow of those letters, not to overly illuminate them, so I think it'll be a successful signage package. Match what's there for the monument sign. The change with the illumination comes with the wall-mounted signs. The existing wall-mounted signs have kind of 2 things that the Bank of America branding team is moving away from. First and foremost, there is no illumination provided in the existing Bank of America signs. So at night, if you're not near an area light, it's very difficult to see those signs. In addition, most of the signs do not have the white background that the branding team of Bank of America is looking to establish to provide that color contrast and make those signs pop. The signage on the frontage, which we're looking at now, does have that white background. There will just be letters installed there that will have the internal illumination similar to the monument sign. And what we're doing on the front of the building is today, there is an existing Bank of America lettering and logo, and then they're adding the logo above the lettering in the proposed condition. So the overall, the lettering will stay about the same size, but they are installing a larger logo. Just kind of feels like, as part of the branding of this bank, that upper area of that eave there is kind of begging for a sign, and the bank is proud to provide, you know, kind of that wayfinding sign for their site on the main entrance there. So that is the first sign we'll talk about. It is the West High Street frontage sign. They are adding a logo above the lettering in this condition. So there's a little bit of a change to the signage, and it'll be internally illuminated. I'll go through the rest of the wall signage as we go. They're essentially like-for-like replacements with one adjustment. Generally, the text of Bank of America will be slightly smaller than what's there today. It's just a massing of, now there was 2 capital letters, now it's all capital and slightly reduced. So we'll zoom in first on the North Bridge Street frontage. The existing sign is located on the brick, which they're trying to move away from for visibility and aesthetic reasons. And in the proposed condition, they are installing that white background. Again, it's important to note that white background is not illuminated. Only the letters and logo are illuminated. The white is meant to intend that that sign can be seen from a distance. It's not mounted on the brick. It makes it a little bit easier to see, brings an aesthetic appeal to the sign, part of the Bank of America nationwide branding when they are mounting signs on buildings that are brick. So we are looking to install that. The size of this sign is compliant with the ordinance, but because of the way the ordinance is written, we're not actually permitted to have wall signs because we have the monument sign out front. So it's kind of a horse trade in that way. What we're looking to do is replace the existing signage in kind. We're not looking to expand it other than the white backing. We're looking to place it in the same location that it's historically been provided on the building, which you'll see as we go through the remainder of the signs, which are the rear of the building. The sign, again, will be replaced with the new Bank of America branding, white backing, letters and logo in the same position at the same elevation. And the same goes for that sign that's located adjacent to the drive-through on the side of the building as well. Replacing the letters, you can see, especially in this letter, you can see that the letters that are proposed are smaller than the letters that are there today, so that illumination area will be smaller, but the white backing just increases the size of that sign. But again, they all comply with the percentages and the allowable size if the signs were allowable per code as part of the non-conforming use. So that's a summary of the signage. The bank is proud to bring their branding package to this site, and they're looking forward to introducing the new branding to this site as they continue to make upgrades over time. Again, we talked a little bit about that signage relief, but I'll just put it on the record again. We are proposing the 4 signs to replace in like. They are not permitted per ordinance, but they are replacing what is there today. And then there's also a variance for the overall height of the sign. Only one dimension per the code is allowed to exceed 2 feet. So technically, these proposed wall signs, the white backing of these signs is over 2 feet in height. So you have 2 dimensions on that sign that exceed 2 feet. The lettering itself is roughly, we'll call it 9 to 12 inches depending on the sign. And then the logo itself is in that 2-foot range as well. So we're not looking to drastically improve or increase the size of the signs here or the illuminated portions. It is just that white backing that's requiring that variance. You'll hear more from our planner this evening. With that, I'll turn it over if there's any further questions, or we can open up to the board. I'm happy.
Anyone from the board have any questions of the testimony just given by Mr. Much?
How high is the white?
Overall height is 2 feet 7.5 inches. Letter height on these signs is 9 inches.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience have any questions of the testimony just given?
Oh, I have a question.
Dan?
Yeah, I run by the West High exit all the time, so I'm glad to see that you're shortening it. I'll feel safer as I run by it. But I see a right turn sign there, a right turn arrow on the road, or on the apron to
Yes.
to the road. Will there be a no left turn sign?
We can certainly provide that sign. I'm not sure if there's one today,
Okay.
but if there isn't, it's not something that we would object to.
Okay, and then also if it's a right turn, then the angle of that exit is actually it's
Yeah.
encouraging a left, but.
Yeah, the current striping certainly is. When we install the curb and landscaping, it'll be the other way to
Okay.
encourage that turn. Yes, certainly.
But you'll put the no left turn sign in there?
Certainly.
All right.
Anyone else?
Stormwater management, it's your opinion that the stormwater management on the site is adequate, that stormwater runoff isn't adversely impacting the roads of the surrounding property?
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'm not aware, and I've been on this site and we've been working with it a lot. I'm not aware of any issues that they've had over time with this stormwater conveyance system, so I feel comfortable stating that I'm comfortable with the design. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mutch.
Thank you.
I now will call Thomas Ricci.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record, sir.
Thomas Ricci, last name is spelled R-I-C-C-I. Business address, 92 Park Ave, Rutherford, New Jersey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Letizia. You're a witness, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Ricci, please briefly describe to the board your educational professional background, please.
Sure.
Haven't you appeared before us before?
I thought I did, but it wasn't on my list, but I have appeared before boards in the area.
Okay. Okay.
Again, just briefly.
I'll run through
Oh.
it. Yeah, licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I've testified over 100 times in front of at least 70 boards throughout the state of New Jersey and New York. Some recent ones, Franklin, Green Book, Manville, South Plainfield.
You're good.
Thank you, Mr. Ricci. So you heard both from me as well as your colleague, Mr. Mutch, the variance relief that is required for this application. Can you quickly summarize for the board what the variance relief is, and then provide your planning opinion as to whether those variances are justified?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you've heard, Bank of America currently exists on the property. This is a corner lot. It's a pretty big lot when you compare it to the surrounding area. It's almost 2 acres, approximately 74,000 square feet. Most of the improvements just relate to signage, some landscaping, really just refreshing and upgrading the site. We're in front of the zoning board tonight seeking a D2 expansion of a non-conforming use variance because banks are technically they're non-conforming use in the POR district, the professional office and residential district. So this is different than a straight D1 use variance because the use already exists and the use is not changing. We're just doing, as we mentioned, these minor site improvements. So in my opinion, it's not even really what you would think of as a normal expansion of a non-conforming use where you increase building footprint, where you add additions. We're not doing any of that. This is more of a technical trigger of the variance because we're adding those HVAC pads in the rear of the building, and then we're adding new signage, which necessitates variances. So really that's what triggers the D2. But I think, the most important part about the justification of the D2 is nothing about this proposal is intensifying this non-conforming use of the site. And I think that's the most important piece here is, as I mentioned, there's no building additions, there's no increase in footprint, there's nothing that's intended to increase build parking or traffic or anything like that. That and the fact that we align with, in my opinion, 2 very important purposes of the municipal land use law, that being purpose A, which is to promote safety and general welfare, which I think we're doing. We're upgrading signage, for traffic, visibility, wayfinding purposes, building identification when people are driving down the road. That all goes into that safety and general welfare category for people being able to use this site the way it's intended to be used and know where to enter and exit. And then I think purpose I, which is promote desirable visual environment. You always want to be constantly keeping your signage current and your logos upgraded and doing these types of improvements to keep the lot aesthetically pleasing and also very functional. So I think those are the justifications for this D2 expansion of the non-conforming use. With regards to the C variances, it's my understanding that we eliminated the freestanding sign area variance as well as that freestanding sign height variance. So that pretty much leaves the variances for the wall signs. As Mr. Much mentioned, there are 4 existing wall signs on the building. There's one on each side. They're not permitted when you have a freestanding sign. But really, these are just a replacement in kind of what already exists on the building. We're simply upgrading them. I think it's notable. I find appropriateness of the 4 wall signs, given this is a pretty large lot. It is a prominent development on this corner. The minimum lot size in this area is 10,000 square feet, so we're more than 7 times that. You theoretically could chop this up into smaller lots and every new business gets a sign. So I don't think that this goes against what the ordinance is trying to prevent, which is usually sign pollution. I think it's appropriate given the size of the building, given the fact that it's on a corner lot, given the fact that we're just replacing these, and really Bank of America wants to put their new logo in the same location that they already have it. And then as Mr. Much mentioned, we're seeking a variance for the dimensions of the wall signs. You're allowed to go 2 feet on these wall signs. And I think one of the most important things that he brought up is that it's triggered really by the backing, and the backing is for visibility. Now that they have this darker text, when they're mounting these on these existing brick buildings, I think what the backing does, it creates that contrast that allows greater visibility for people to, be able to identify the building and safely pull into the site. So the lettering is staying generally the same. As Mr. Much mentioned, we're in that around 7 to 12 inch range. So I think, it's important to note that while the sign does exceed that height of 2 feet, the lettering is substantially under that 2 foot mark. It's 1 foot or less. We are seeking relief for putting that sign in the 50-foot site triangle that's formed by the street right-of-way lines. As Mr. Much mentioned, from a traffic perspective, that is outside any true traffic site triangles. That sign is actually currently non-compliant with the setback. It's about 7 feet, and we're actually pushing it back even further to agree with that 10-foot sign setback requirement. So it's going to improve on the existing condition. So that pretty much sums up the variance relief that we're seeking. Really, as Mr. Much mentioned, this is an application and an effort, really, by Bank of America to provide upgrades to all their site. They got a new logo in 2018, new branding, basically going across the country and trying to update, making sure that the signage is current, that it's relevant, that it's aesthetically pleasing. And then in doing so, they also provide all these other improvements, like we're doing the landscaping. Mr. Much mentioned that we're actually removing impervious and fixing that driveway and adding some of that grass back in. I mean, I think that's a big positive. The lighting plan, which is shown on the plan, but from my understanding, it was already approved and is installed now. I think that goes along with this whole branding and improvements effort by Bank of America. So I take all of these positives, all of these upgrades, that an effort that this company is doing to their site. I put them in the benefits or the positive bucket. And what we do as planners, we weigh that against the detriments. And I think that what we have here, the detriments of, the slight increase in signage variances, but for the most part, we're just replacing them. I think it passes that C2 test where the benefits of what we're doing here substantially outweighs the detriments. The master plan also talks about improving areas, non-residential areas and commercial properties. And I think that's what we have here is you have, Bank of America, I checked the aerial imagery. This building has been here since what appears to be the 60s. So it's, from my understanding, it's a long-standing tenant of Somerville. And what they have here is an effort to continue to improve their site, operate in the area. I love banks next to downtown areas. We're 1 block from Main Street. I think it's a good thing of what they're doing here. And that's why I think it necessitates approval.
That's an
concludes
old
my direct-
First National Bank of Central Jersey.
What is that?
That's an old First National Bank of Central Jersey.
That's
correct.
Branch, yes. Dates to the 1960s or 70s.
Wow.
Hey, Cliff,
It wasn't First National Bank. it
New
was
Jersey Savings Bank.
New Jersey Savings, right.
Right.
So I have no further questions of Mr. Ricci. He's available for questions from the board.
Any board members have any questions of the testimony just given by Mr. Ricci? Anybody from the audience have any questions of Mr. Ricci? Thank you, Mr. Ricci.
Thank you.
And I was thinking of another planner, spelled it same, but he pronounced it Ricky.
Paul?
Paul. yeah.
Paul.
Right.
Yeah. He's around. We're not related. But we always joke about it.
Mr. Chairman, that completes our presentation, and we hope you will agree that this application is an improvement of the bank site. We've met our legal burden for the variance relief, and we hope you will grant us minor site plan together with the D2 variance as well as the C2 variances for the sign.
Mr. Letizia, may I ask you, will your client consent to, as a condition of approval, compliance with the recommendations and suggestions, the comments and recommendations set forth in Mr. Cole's report?
I believe we are satisfying.
You had mentioned it, I just wanted to get it on the record that you would agree to that, because I'd be preparing the resolution.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, we do agree.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the board knows, they submitted a sound study to show that the compressors all comply with the state noise code. So that wasn't mentioned, but the study was given, it's in the report.
Yes.
And I think I asked for just the sign and seal copies for the record.
We agree, yes.
But the
Yes.
sound is not an issue, it complies with the state noise code. And just to follow up briefly on the signage, it's a non-permitted use. Therefore, the signage analysis for permitted uses in the zone. So technically, this board, there's technically no criteria for the signs because it's non-permitted use, but it's there for the reference, which I agree with the analysis done. So the board, and this happens with the non-conforming use, if they come back and change all this, because there's no standards, any change, particularly an increase, gets kicked to the board automatically, or the site plan stays with this. If they would change, not the signage, but change the circulation, that would stay with this board because it's a non-permitted use, non-conforming use. Just so. That's all my soapbox.
Anybody from the board have any questions or any comments?
I think it's an improvement.
I think it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would someone like to move to close the public portion of this application?
I'll move it.
Second?
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Board, what's your pleasure?
As you said, it's a no-brainer. I think we ought to just go ahead and make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Only comment that I have is, you have a nice business over there, but over the years, there've been complaints about your flag, your American flag flying out front. several times had to call, it's time to take it down. Could you just watch it, refresh your flag like on a regular
I
basis?
mean, it's torn or, yeah, okay. Yes, we'll agree.
Cliff, conditions?
The only condition we have is compliance with the report. I wanna make sure we're gonna get a hard copy of the, A1.
Yeah, we have it, yes.
And thank you, and, no, that was it. I did not discern any other conditions unless someone else picked them out.
Okay, someone wanna move for approval?
I'll move it.
Second?
Move second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Kirknance?
Yes,
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Vidomski?
Yes.
Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Bless
Did you notice how he talked about the good and the bad and didn't even reference Sika? No balancing test?
Well, this wasn't an inherently beneficial use, so there was the balancing test. I mean, that was great that you did it, but the balancing test wasn't necessarily, you know, in place, but that's fine. You took the extra step, and Counselor, I respect that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there any other business to come before this board? Someone move to adjourn?
I'll move it.
Move second, all in favor? The words of the famous actor Leo Carrillo, let's win.
Rich, that was not First Initial Central Jersey. That was a different,
Somerset.
that was the same thing?
It was Somerset City, New Jersey?